Hello, everyone. Jess Stainbrook here with the Invisible Disabilities Association, and I've got a special guest here today. It's Joanna Galarza, and she's a mother of 5 kids, a college professor in history, correct?
Correct, yes.
And an author, yeah. So we're doing this as part of our Love Ideas Summit, and having some special guests on to talk about different topics. Joanna, I know that you've written a book. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and really kind of back into the, what was the impetus for writing the book? What's your message behind promoting the book? Because I know there's some deeper things about life that are probably going to be really valuable for everybody listening.
Yes, thank you for having me, Jess. This is a wonderful idea, the Love Ideas Summit. I love it. A lot of us are at home. We're not really stuck necessarily, but we're kind of stuck with each other, with our families, with the relationships that we have, our closest relationships. And so thank you. This is a great idea. I have written a book. It is called The Line, and it is about moving to a beautiful area in Southern California. There are avocado groves, there are hills, 20 acres, there are animals that I hadn't seen before because I grew up in Long Island, New York, and lived in the suburbs, really. And moving to this verdant area of Southern California where there were lots of trees and animals, it was very interesting and lovely overall. Unfortunately, part of the story is also my marriage started having difficulties. And my relationship with my children's father changed, and that's what the book is about. It changed from being a back and forth, loving relationship to him expecting some things from me that I just wasn't willing to give, and full submission and a type of adoration that I thought wasn't healthy anymore. So my book is about that, and it took me a very long time, almost 10 years, to step aside from the idea for myself, for this situation, that love is patient, love is kind, love endures all things, and finally see, wait, this love isn't going both ways. This is going one way and it's not working, because love in the end, maybe if you're an infant and just born, love can go one way, maybe from parent to child, but soon enough, as soon as that baby locks eyes with you, when you have a newborn in your arms, then love goes both ways. And especially if you're married or dating, love has to go both ways. And so my book is about that, eventually leaving that relationship, trying to build my family, love my children, raise them, being able to love well, and that's what my book is about.
Well, that's awesome, and thanks for sharing that. I know that's hard stuff. I'm sure you have some practical advice or some things, some more information that you might be willing to share of, perhaps identifying things. I know that we had talked earlier before we got going about, it was a domestic abuse situation, but you call it coercive control, and which I think, gives it a little bit nicer term, but it doesn't make it any less impacting. But what's your advice there for folks?
Yeah, so the reason why I use the term coercive control is because domestic abuse and domestic violence has been in the news, has been in the forefront of media for more than 20 years, I think. And I was living in a situation where I did not make the connection for a long time that I was undergoing a situation that was abusive. And if someone would have said coercion and control, that would have been a light bulb moment, because that's what it was. It was a feeling trapped often, and a lot of controlling behaviors. But with coercive control, it's one person who has a goal, and they use fear and manipulation to get another person to act in a certain way. And in my situation is to fully submit, which was very hard, actually. The whole situation was very hard. But coercive control is, it takes a long time. It is protracted. It happens over and over and over again. It's not necessarily one incident. It's not someone standing up and yelling at you. It is more a pattern, a behavior that eventually has one person feeling very repressed.
So as a mom, I mean, you know, how do you get your kids through something like that?
That is a very good question. It was getting my kids through this situation became what I was all about. I still wanted them to come out of it as healthy as possible, being able to love well, being able to make friends, eventually, you know, get married, have great relationships. So eventually I did have to leave and then talk to them for years, little by little, without throwing their father under the bus, actually, because you have to be careful with the relationship they have with their father or their mother, right? Because we have our parents in us, in our heads, in our hearts, and you have to somehow take care of that. And that is probably the hardest thing. It would be easy to, you know, if your child is being bullied at school, it's easy to tell your child, that kid is just wrong, you know, stay away from that kid. You go to the teacher, you get help. It's more cut and dry. When it's someone's parent, you need to be very careful and speak more in generalities. The way I did it, for example, the way I did it with my children is we watched films, for example. And when there were good relationships, then I would just mention something instead of keeping comments in my head. For example, oh, that was lovely. What a wonderful relationship. I would just say it out loud. And when I saw something that raised an alarm inside of me, then I would say it also. I would say, oh, that's really sad. That girl isn't seeing what's happening, but do you see what's happening? And just being honest that way, using cultural things, movies, books. Anytime I thought of something, then I said it. And but it was in a way that was more roundabout.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting. I mean, obviously, you know, I have 3 kids too, and, you know, the 3 daughters, and it's, you know, there's so many things coming at them these days that is very different from when we grew up. You know, I regularly say to my kids that, you know, in the old days, a bully actually had to find me. Well, now they just come right in on your phone, and, you know, all kinds of stuff happens. So it's tough. We have a lot to teach our kids in that stuff. Well, so the name of your book is The Line, correct?
The Line. And I think, I'm sorry, that part of what I've tried to teach my kids, and I still am, because they're still young. Part of the thing that I'm teaching them is you have to treat people with the golden rule. But there's also the platinum rule. And the platinum rule is you treat others how they would like to be treated, but there's one more step, and I think this is really important. You also need to realize that they need to treat you well too. They need to treat you well too. So a lot of times we teach children, you know, treat others like you would like them to treat you. And we don't say, but if that person does this to you, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to put a barrier. Sometimes we don't go that far as parents. And it's almost like we're assuming our kids are indestructible and they would be the ones causing harm, when really it can go both ways. So the platinum rule is treat others how they might like to be treated, but also go a little farther, and you need to be treated with respect as well.
That's good stuff. Well, thanks, Joanna. Where can people find your book?
Well, my book is to be published hopefully in about a year. So at
Gotcha.
this time, you could look for information on my website, joannagalarza.com. And I look forward to hearing from people there. So if you visit me, I will answer back if you communicate with me.
Well, that's fantastic. And I need to ask, is it fiction or nonfiction? I mean, because sometimes, I mean, I'm a writer and I do a bunch of different things. Sometimes I will write a fictional account of things so that I can impact and have people hear a different way that perhaps a true story happened. What's your book?
Mine would be classified as a memoir. It's nonfiction. It is my story. Obviously, it is very much my perspective. It's how I felt things, how things seemed to me, but it's very much my story.
Well, that's cool. Well,
Yeah.
anything else you want to share with us on this short bonus feature we're doing for the summit?
I found that the key to understanding whether you are in a relationship that can be salvaged, that can be taken care of and nurtured, the key is really the idea of that some people call boundaries. I like to call it a gate. Relationships are really, they're a path that you make together with another person. And you go back and forth on the path. Sometimes you stay on the path a long time and things are wonderful and you just love each other. And other times, one person or the other or both need a little space. And you have to close your little door, your door to yourself. You have to take a walk. You have to be alone. You have to talk to others. You have to find a way to make yourself feel better or gain some energy for your relationship. And the key is how your intimate other or your child or your parent reacts when you tell them, I need to close my door for a little bit. If they say, which is the thing to do, is, okay, sweetie, go take some time. And, try not to feel upset about it. But if the reaction is, no way, we're going to deal with this now until we fix it. And you start having one person not accepting the other person's idea that I need a little space. That is key. You need to have the path to reach each other, but you also need to be able to have little gates that you can close and open at will, each person, and the other person has to respect that. So that's very important. That's
really good advice.
I mean, I think it works with intimate partners, it works with children, it works with parents. So if one of my kids is crying and really needs some space, they need to have the space and they need that respect. So, yes.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Sure. I really want to encourage everybody out there. I know, like I said, we are stuck with each other. I tell my kids this too. If you get into a fight, fix it as soon as you can. We're stuck with each other. And we want the feeling, the tenor, the vibe in our family to be overall uplifting. And little actions make a difference. So when you're stuck with each other, try to fix things sooner and be good to each other, because that sure helps.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here today, and appreciate your time. And again, go check out Joanna's stuff online. We'll have the website right up here so you can go to find it. And of course, don't forget to tune in to all of the other links that are going on this week for the Love Ideas Summit. And we'll see you on date night, hopefully on Saturday.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jess. Have a great rest of your day.